In Thai, pineapple eyes means ta sapparot. It's something my dad used to say to me a lot, and he still says it. If you have a pineapple, it looks as though it has many eyes. And the saying goes that with many eyes, you can see the world more fully. I think that's a very wise thing, and that's what we'd like to explore here, in this podcast.
People always talk about childlike, and try to remember and capture what it is like to think like a child. Something that happened back when I was a little boy is my dad, he had a really dry office job. But he was very good with people.
Yeah.
He had good people skills, so I think his main job was always meeting clients. I think I must have been around 5, and I remember that he would take me to certain meetings. Because I was quite quiet and introvert, it was easy enough to taggle along to these cafes or restaurants or the pub. But I guess over time I realized I needed something like a tool that is easily available and that I don't necessarily have to bring with me, that's just there. Which was me asking the waiter or waitress for a pen and a coaster or the back of a receipt. So I would have the tools to draw something. And I would hand the paper and the pen to my dad or to the client and ask them to just scribble. And they would look at me and say, "Scribble what?" And I would just say anything, just, whatever comes to mind. And you can go real crazy if you want. Of course, there was an element of humor in it, and most of the time they laughed. Why is this kid asking me to scribble in a serious business meeting on some paper? But I was serious about it. It wasn't just taking the piss or something. And so mostly it would be just this kind of really hectic articulation of maybe the kind of mindset they're in, business is stress and all this. But they had nothing to lose, and that's why I think they were very fearless in just going for it. Imagine this kind of cable salad, just this hectic cloud of lines. And they would hand it back to me and almost say something that this is just waste or this throw it away or something, but I would take this and I would spend probably an hour or so, however long my dad needed with the client to find something in there. A horse head, some kind of symbol, something like that. And once I found something, I would then use the pen to basically highlight that thing. Obviously, they didn't see the value in it, but I saw a value in it because it entertained me for at least an hour. It was like this world of possibilities right in front of me, As time passed, I think I got more and more creative with it, and I loved it. I kind of feel like I'm doing it musically, My name is Robert Raths. For almost 20 years now, I curate a record label, Erased Hips Independent. It's got a physical space here in East London. It's an artist collective, and I love what I do. It's a beautiful gift. There's so much value when someone makes a mixtape. Someone creates something, and that's essentially what a label is. It's an editorial affair, So my background is actually in fine art and architecture, which I studied, but my passion or curiosity was always about audio, my muse, so to speak, not just music, sound. I guess, when you're preparing a gallery space for an exhibition, you have to really consider the light, the scale of the walls, the color, the shape of the room, all these things. And I feel almost the same when it comes to releasing music. Discovery is such a beautiful thing. That in itself is, full of wonder. I want to enable everyone if I can, to discover things naturally. And I try to really respect the artist's perspective when it comes to the timing. They carry your work within them. They carry all these questions and concepts for a long time, often years before they come to me. So like, I always have that be the most important thing, to kind of realize, okay, where are we? And what's the urgency? And it's so beautiful to think of seasons and to think of context and to think of when is a good time to release this art. Because I do think it makes a difference if you release music that needs a place that is a little bit more cozy, that is a little bit more dim. We seem to think differently in those different seasons, like clearly. There's like a good moment for something to be shared. And sometimes that can make a huge difference, other times it doesn't. The world at large is in a very unusually dark place right now. Like, I recently had a conversation where one of my artists came up and he asked me genuinely, like, is this a bad time for contemplative music? Like the kind of music that we're mostly known for. Because maybe it's too passive and maybe it's too much about escapism. And maybe right now the world just wants action and justice. And I consider him a very wise friend. The real question was like, does art have a space, a place during such difficult times? And whether they like in an active war zone or just in this modern world where everyone is exposed to a lot of violence through social media, through heated conversations, through people taken to the street, which is also important, to organize and to stand up for something. I feel that very strongly. That whole question came out of me sharing some experiences from when I went to Palestine, and in that moment I just felt like, wow. This basically shows the times that we live in, that such a question comes, and it comes very naturally. And I realized that probably many of us think the same question. And the best answer I could give was that there must be space for both. They're very polar opposites to each other, and I think that's good. Because we're not all in the same state. There's some people right now who are very charged and they want to feel like they're doing something. They're getting involved, they're making a change. And often these things are rushed, but sometimes they need to be rushed, It's like, it's not up to us to decide. I think that's what nature is. Sometimes it needs an avalanche. But at the same time, there's also so many people out there who, they need space to think, to process, to form their opinion on things, to recharge their energies, to even be able to kind of realize what's going on and to help in any way. And there's a collective healing that comes from escapism. And I still believe in that. The world right now is facing a moral mirror, really. And the things that we can do, I think, are really in the day-to-day acts of love. I think the reason why I'm still involved in music is because it's such a universal language. It renders all these boundaries and barriers meaningless, and it's such a peaceful message, wherever we go, especially with instrumental music, where it's not about words that could hurt someone. It's more like, when there's no words, then we don't expect you to understand the meaning. You can project your own meaning and interpretation onto that song, and I think that's why a lot of the music on Erase tapes is of instrumental nature. Wonder is an interesting term. I'm German, so in my mother tongue you would say Wunder. Wonder to me, the first thing that I have to think of is waking up in the morning. I wake up like a blank page, like a blank canvas, being excited about all the possibilities and wondering what it is that's going to happen on this new day. Of course there's worries, and they usually poke up during the day and stuff. But it's that moment in the very early morning when you're just waking up that is full of wonder for me. And it's a beautiful thing. It's so naive and it's so precious. I didn't realize it's special, but over the years I come to understand that that's not a given. And the more I realized that that's actually quite special and important to me, to what I do, the more I protect it. I love suggesting something out of that wonder. I wonder what happens if we did this. There's definitely a daily practice or a ritual of making sure that I keep all possibilities open as long as I can, because I don't want anyone to feel pressured that, it's too late. And that sometimes requires that I question something, or I push further, or I even suggest to start from scratch or something like that, because I have no problem in starting something all over again, to then realize, wow, what we had built before is really quite special. That to me is not a waste of time. Because sometimes that exercise is very much needed, because you don't see it. You don't see that what you have is already that, what you were set out to do. I guess the chances by now, I know it's maybe 1 in 20 or something, where this stupid idea is actually opens up this whole new thing, and it's worth it. The 19 failures are worth, and I wouldn't even say they're failures, it's just they're versions that didn't make the cut. I'm interested in just one thing, which is walking into the unknown. I have no interest in going somewhere I have been before. I'm much more interested in the bravery that's required to walk into the unknown together. Because I love improvisation, and that's what this exercise that I did with fully grown, people at a very young age was to improvise, That's how I see it now. It's one artist I worked with once very fittingly described, you're going through the mud. I describe it as the unknown. And you don't know how long it takes to go through the mud until you eventually find this little puddle of clear substance, which lets you breathe and lets you come back to the surface and have this moment of clarity. I like to throw myself into that with the artist, Art is really still something that is very, very special and has a value that is beyond any currency. And we need to protect it, and it's wonderful. Wonderful.